was a lot to take in.
That was so much to take in. Like, wow, there was so much happening there. That did not feel like 3 minutes. Hey everyone, it's Daryl and Lauren here. There was a pretty big trailer that came out yesterday. We are donning our 16 shirts and we are ready to dive in. Fresh-faced, we have seen nothing. I'm genuinely excited.
Maybe that should be our new book, What to Expect When Watching a New Trailer for a Final Fantasy Game.
All right, Lauren, let's dive in.
That was a spoiler right there.
Oh, it's a story about fate.
Who are we?
I don't know.
What are the dominants?
I don't know.
The power we wield, it wears away at our very being. It breaks us. It unmakes us. That its immaculate aspect might reveal itself. The icon.
There's going to be another war, isn't there?
Okay, goosebumps.
Every day we delay brings us closer to disaster.
Oh, some gameplay
Must
finally.
move now.
The chaos he would wreak with
This looks so much more polished.
the abyss.
I'm not seeing a second character.
The dominants, that we may bring an end to the strife and found a new order.
Like there's so much to take in
Yeah.
right now.
Nice battle going on.
If I take the field, our duel will shake the
Oh, he's
island
very tall boy.
to its foundations.
It's Jack! Jackson Final Fantasy 16 confirmed! Oh, she looks a lot different now. Odin. Oh, that was the game
Summons in
over.
combat. Summon battles. What?
That's crazy. I mean, Garuda's their homeboy, isn't it?
There will be losses.
Odin.
It is true. Yet for every citizen who falls, another can be bred. For every home that burns, another
And Bahamut
can be
pulling
built.
out the mega flare.
The Empire will live.
The jewelry.
That was an intense ending.
That was very intense.
Child of fate, awaken, if freed.
So that was a lot to take in.
That was so much to take in. Like, wow, there was so much happening there. Like, pretty much everywhere. That did not feel like 3 minutes.
No, it really didn't. But it's really interesting because like it also tells an awful lot about where their focus is as far as story-wise. It seems like it is the clash of the summons, essentially, for this
Yeah, I
game.
mean, like that trailer was so summon heavy. It started off with the summons, just kind of introducing them. Obviously, right at the end, just named them all. I mean, we presume
In case you
gonna be
weren't
all, yeah.
aware.
Like, incorporate it with the music. Just say the names. Not too sure how I feel about Ifrit, but they did.
Wow.
That's what they called them in 15 as well, right?
They're doing their best, you know. They got to stick with it. But yeah, no, I mean, it's really cool. It also feels like, dare I say it, it feels like they're incorporating some of the things that they maybe have learned from Final Fantasy XIV in the sense that
Oh,
they're
yeah,
putting
for
a
sure.
lot of emphasis on Garuda, who was like huge in Final Fantasy XIV.
I mean, it feels as though the summons, like the big guy who you affectionately named Jack,
yeah.
that seems to me like Titan's dominant.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that would make sense.
That
And,
would
like,
make sense.
If they do have characters that kind of embody the physical, like the human form of the summons, that's going to be really cool to see who they all are, especially as we build out. Because if there are that many summons, there's going to be equivalent badasses around, and they're probably
Yeah.
the people that you've got to try and lay the smackdown on by the looks of it.
It almost kind of harkens back to like Greek mythology, right? Like the Battle of the Gods. Like this feels like it could be sort of a medieval Final Fantasy version of
15 on steroids
Greek.
essentially, because 15 was all about like the astrals and the war that they supposedly had in the past, and we got to see them in like their big form in the game, but only until it was only in certain parts where we got to see them fight against each other. But in this one, it looks like it's going to be a full-on like hardcore. You get to control the summon in like a big summon battle, and it's probably going to be like the evolution of a battle. You might have like the 1v1, and then it's like, here's the second phase of the fight.
Yeah, no, completely.
What do you say? Do you want to like try and break down the trailer a little
let's try
bit?
and look at it a bit slower this time.
Because this was all like, just there was so much going on. Interesting that we're going for a story around fate. It's been something that Square have gone for a while with their themes, because we obviously had, I mean, Toriyama is really big on fate storylines. 10 was all about fate. 13 was all about fate. 15 was all about fate. Type 0 was all about fate, and challenging the notion of fate. I mean, you could even argue that, like, 13-2 and the whole Lightning trilogy was about challenging fate. It seems to be like, obviously we don't know how heavy they're going to go on with this, but they've obviously led with that statement. So that's quite an interesting thing. And yeah, like how they're going to tell the story in a different way.
So that's definitely.
That girl was the girl we saw in the original trailer, right? With the kind of the feather dress walking around the throne room.
Possibly.
So she's so she's clearly a dominant.
Yeah,
people would assume that she's Garuda because of the feathers.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
So it pretty much confirmed that.
Pretty much confirmed. I love it.
Yeah, look at her.
Yeah, that design is looking very 14
She's
inspired,
looking
right?
Bamf. And of course, Ifrit or Ifrit.
And
That
Bahamut.
seems, Bahamut.
So that's also quite interesting, because the Bahamut design looks very similar to the kind of more 7 interpretation. It's very like
Very realistic,
hardcore,
like,
kind of like leather scales and everything.
Very realistic. It's like
Realistic
it's
as
a
it can
dragon,
be.
but it's like it's a dragon as opposed to like some metal being.
And I should say that we're doing a really quick reaction right now. There's going to be another video coming out in a day or two where we're going to go like really hardcore, and obviously we've done the evolutions of a lot of these summons, so we're going to be looking at which elements that we can see that they're putting in already. So
Yeah.
we'll be diving more into things a little bit later.
But look at those teeth.
It's looking hardcore.
He's been on Dragon Invisalign. So yeah, we got the Titan sequence again, which also, like, for me, I think this is really cool because they've obviously taken in a lot of people's comments about the graphics, and they've updated it significantly.
That's what I kind of noticed, that, obviously when we first saw it, our first reaction was that this is a 14 expansion.
Yeah.
It did not look kind of at the level you expected it on, and I know that must have like really affected what they and influenced why they've taken so long to show it, because they really wanted it to look super polished when they showed it again, and like it looks so much better now, so much better.
Yeah.
So this is like Clive and Jill, I guess it's obviously pre-flashback, talking about what's going to be happening coming up, because she said about how like it feels like there's going to be another war. That I'm kind of getting Clive's father from that.
Yeah, I could see that, or maybe a brother.
So here we've got the fight against the Imperial Lancer, right? So looking at the HUD, we've obviously got like it's quite interesting how they're doing this, because with the health bars at the top, this is clearly like a one-on-one boss fight. I'm very much, one of the things I mentioned in the video the other day was that I was hoping there was going to be like a party notion of some kind, with not necessarily a fixed party like we've had in the past, but with like recruitable allies and stuff. If they're going like this direction, it seems as though it's probably going to be a single player experience.
Yeah, it sort of feels that way, especially with what they've shown. And then also like the fact that they're using interesting camera angles. So I wonder if there's going to be a lot of like,
so this will be like
sequences.
I'd imagine that this would be like the start of the fight, because both of them have got full health. And then obviously we're going to go into the fight in a second. Level 18. It's interesting they're showing the level on the screen during the combat. I don't think that's necessary. But the abilities in the corner, I guess it was on L2. So looks like they're going to have some kind of like quick shortcut system.
Well, that was what we noticed before, wasn't it? With the types of moves that you can do that are like influenced by the summons that you're chosen on. So we have like a little rally sequence.
So this is like not a boss fight. So in the corner we can see here that he's got jump, attack, Phoenix shift, and fire. So obviously he's aligning to Phoenix at the moment. And then the enemies can obviously dodge, I guess. And this is where they've got smaller health bars because this is, I guess, a normal running around encounter.
Yeah.
Burst shot, lunge.
I'm wondering as well if you can change.
Yeah, his moves have changed as well down the left. So he's now got Scarlet Cyclone. Phoenix shift has moved over.
Maybe that's like a limit break type thing.
There's so much stuff going on there. It's like iconic strike, will shit. Like, yeah, it seems like tons and tons of different moves going to be comboed, different status effects, different abilities that are going to chain together. You can very much see the Devil May Cry inspiration in what's being pulled together, for sure.
And then we have another little sequence inside. Oh, I see some like badass sort of like Prince action going on there.
Oh yeah, that leg over there.
That leg is full of sass.
I mean, you can't break it down right now, but that picture is blatantly going to have some kind of importance.
Possibly.
I'm wondering if there's, can you go for, does it zoom in on their insignias or anything? Which I'm just trying to see which kingdom this might be. No, I can't see anything from there.
That kind of looks like the guy from the beginning who was in the red, but maybe it's just...
No, this guy's definitely older.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's flash forward. Maybe it's flash forward.
It's true, it's true. Could be after the flash forward.
Very angry man.
Orcish Mesmerizer.
Who is the judgmental man? Probably
be
somebody of importance.
Yeah.
He's grimaced. He obviously didn't like the taste of something in his mouth. Okay.
So here, this looks like it's much further on. We're level 33 now. There's more abilities on the L2 corner, and there's also bars underneath. I wonder if they're kind of... I mean, it could be interesting to see if they are pulling in elements from the 7 remake, because obviously you had that ATB system, which meant that you could only do abilities once you had accrued a certain amount of bar, and you got the bar back by dealing damage. Does that bar go up when he lands any strikes? Let's see. It does, yeah. So yeah, I wonder if that's going to be linked to the different things. Down here, we've got he's channeling Titan now, which you can see from the top left, because we've got Titan block, upheaval.
But I'm also wondering if there's a correlation between the colors and then the kingdoms, because it seems like it's a bit like a Final Fantasy type 0 type green thing, where it's like green is Garuda. Green was Garuda because you saw on the thing it was green for.
I'm just trying to remember from the actual the flags. I know that Waled was one of them.
So it probably is true. That guy in the beginning was probably the one for Ifrit.
Because they're red, yeah.
And then this guy is obviously Garuda's kingdom. So maybe we're a bit of like a merc for...
or we're just going around
helping out.
Yeah. This seems like it's post-time skip because he's got all different armor and everything set up, so...
Ooh, that is a lot of pecs right there. That's a lot of muscles.
I mean, that's Odin in the corner, right? It's got to be, because we've got Arm of Darkness, Gungnir, Heaven's Cloud. Yeah, tons and tons
That is really cool, though. I like that move. And there, it looks like a tub scene.
Yeah, it does.
I think there's some naughty naughties going on there.
Could that be, do you reckon that's Garuda, Garuda woman?
It's inappropriate, actually, so I must get that. But yeah, no, I actually thought it might have been Jill. I think it might have been Jill.
Grown up Jill. And now we've gone to Shiva straight after.
Yeah, because, they set you up. Shiva naked Shiva.
That is so cool, though. Like, the move just turns it to complete ice.
And a curl. You can't
Diamond
have a Final
Dust
Fantasy game.
times 2. So this is also interesting because we've got Diamond Dust times 2, but none of the moves are saying Diamond Dust down here. And I'm wondering if that means that it's a status effect of some kind, that they're going to be bringing in other elements. And what's also interesting here is that obviously we've seen it in some of them that when Clive has got access to the different icons, so now he's got access to Blizzard. He's had fire when he had Phoenix, but Titan didn't have one. Garuda didn't have arrow or wind, which is interesting. But it looks like attack and jump are kind of the 2 staple moves as well.
Yeah. There's
arrow, so never mind.
There's Phoenix shipped again. And there's a big battle. So obviously there's
So
going
this
to be a
is-
lot
yeah,
with
this is-
like warring kingdoms and stuff.
There's got to be a comparison scene this one's done to see how much the graphics have improved here, but I'm pretty sure the armor has a lot more fidelity now on that guy.
Yeah, the lighting is a lot better than it was before. Oh,
Yeah,
there's
that's
Titan
blatant.
guy. And he's like, sit down, old man, before you break your hip.
So yeah, from what I remember, the dominant of Titan is the advisor to the Dalmacian kingdom. Like he's their kind of person who tells them what they should do and stuff. So maybe because the Dalmacian kingdom was made up of lots of different factions, so maybe that guy is one of the faction leaders.
Maybe.
And Titan's like, no.
I mean, when you're that tall, you can command anybody.
Yeah.
You can step on my face. I'm kidding.
Oh, who was that fight against? So that must be that guy, I would imagine.
Hugo Kupka. Yeah.
Who's just blocking with his hand.
Yeah, he's just like puny humans. And she's been completely revamped. Her face looks
Yeah,
completely
Titan looks very different.
than
Sorry,
before.
Shiva looks very different, I should say.
Because before she looked a lot like Jill, but now she doesn't look
I feel like
as
that had a
much
lot more
like
color
how
as well
Jill
to
was.
the jewelry. And obviously a crown is something that's very, very prominent with Shiva. But it's quite interesting that they've gone very much for like the pale color as opposed to like doubling down on any kind of the shades of blue or green.
Yeah.
And they've kind of done that with the small, like she's got blue eyes, she's got blue earrings. But the crown is like a very dull kind of silvery like kind of color.
I know there's been like a lot of comparisons between Roberto Ferrari's interpretation of Shiva in Final Fantasy VII Remake versus this Shiva. People saying that this is a worser take of Shiva in comparison to
What?
like that. I mean,
It's hard though,
think
because, like-
this is such a different
Yeah.
is such a different style. This is such a different feel. Final Fantasy VII, I feel like there was a lot of color in those games. The color palette was a lot different. This feels much more subtle. There's a lot of subtleties in
Exactly,
comparison.
and also the seven,
Which is fine.
The 7 remake Shiva was basically just a modernization of the original 7 Shiva.
Yeah.
So like it's not like it was hugely revolutionary or anything. They just made it look a bit more modern.
Yeah. I mean, they did a bit of a revamp, but like
but the
I
color
think it's
schemes
unfair.
and everything around it were imported from 7, whereas obviously there's been so many other different types of Shiva over
Yeah.
the years.
Like I think this is a beautiful interpretation of Shiva. I think she looks gorge.
Right, let's go. So we've got Bahamut, we've got Odin. So yeah, it's interesting that we've got Shiva fighting against Titan. We're going to have Bahamut fighting against Odin. And obviously like Odin was very much aligned with the Kingdom of the East, which I think was Waled. But no one knew who Bahamut was going to be aligned to. There was the notion it was like kind of the middle sanctuary kingdom. Like Bahamut was the kind of overseer of the, I think it's the crystalline dominion. But I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. The
Phoenix.
section.
So obviously we've got some battles happening here. You've got Ifrit versus versus Titan, and then the last one was Phoenix. But it didn't say Ifrit, it said the icon of fire. So I reckon that fight is going to be like kind of the intro fight, because that's going to be not this one, the previous one. It seems as though this one is going to be like your tutorial fight,
Maybe.
because we know that
the little boy in the beginning in the
Ifrit
original.
is going to be kind of awakened during the beginning. It's very much suggesting that Clive is Ifrit, and so based on what the speculation was in the past, that Clive is the one who's responsible for the downfall of his own kingdom and potentially his brother's death. So that's obviously something can happen, and then maybe his quest for revenge is to understand why this has happened to him, because if it wasn't something that he did himself, or like why has he been made this summon, and then the fight against the fate would be trying to undo the fact that he is Ifrit. He doesn't want to be Ifrit.
Yeah. I don't want this job. I don't want the horns.
I never asked for this.
And the nakedness and the fire. Like. But that design of Titan is so cool as well.
Oh, and then we've got question mark summon.
Yep. We don't know. Who could it be? I
some
don't
heads.
know, because it looks like there's a head in there, like a head of
Fast forward a bit, see if
of
there's
a
any
shield.
visual clues in what we see. I mean, is it?
That
is
looks
it
like a
Bahamut?
Dragony.
Maximum damage, 333,000 damage.
Badass.
No, 330,000, Daryl. Read numbers correctly.
Oh.
I was wondering if they were going to bring Ramu or whether or not they were going to do like Ixion, or I think like one of my hopes was that they were going to introduce some new icons, like ones we haven't seen before, as opposed to just bringing back the same old ones. Because even though it was nice that they did it in 15, like I think some of the better games are where they've introduced new ones and tried to create something else. So I'm a little bit disappointed that they've chosen to just bring back Ye Old Faithful from like the first three, or the ones that were basically were there in the first game of 3.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's complicated, right? Because I think that it seems like Square Enix is really actively trying to take steps to go back to, or at least like Yoshida's team is really taking steps to go back to authenticity and really trying to streamline the Final Fantasy brand, because
But 14
there's
did
been
introduce
such
a load of new
disparity.
summons though.
Yeah, but then they have a lot more hours to play in order to introduce new summons, whereas these are people who haven't, maybe.
But there's no Leviathan though, right?
Might have
And
played.
Leviathan is like the quintessential. And maybe
Who
that.
knows, Daryl? These might not be
Yeah.
all of them.
And we did touch on in the Leviathan evolution video that even though Leviathan in the earlier games was basically like Bahamut's number 2, from like 7 onwards, it's just not relevant.
But yeah, I just think that in a way it's nice that they've taken this safety approach just in order to be like, hey, this is what we feel Final Fantasy means, and it harkens back to the older games. Oh yeah,
Liquid
armpit action.
Flame. We're now called Liquid Flame.
Oh, don't tell me it's like that one in like Final Fantasy V that I hated. Oh, Liquid Flame. That was
So
that
she's
guy
doing
in
some
the
diamond dust.
was it the ship or whatever? The one that I got stuck on forever. Basically like a magma guy. And I think his name was Liquid Flame as well. Oh, don't tell me that jerk is back. Garuda. I mean, Garuda is like one of the coolest sort of like newer summons. I just think like Garuda
Well, they've
looks
kind of like
awesome.
they've kind of like redone Garuda, right? Because it was very much like a bird before, like just an actual bird.
Yeah.
Whereas now Garuda has been made more human.
She's been elevated.
Yeah.
She's transcended.
I have to say that I do love the icons.
Yeah, they
As
are
in like
really
the
pretty.
icons EIKONs, but also the icons ICON in the corner, like the avatars they've made for the different icons.
Yeah, they do look really cool.
The icons of the icons. It seems as though there's going to be so much emphasis on the fights between the icons, which is going to be so cool. Like, can you imagine like when we were playing the game? I mean, I was getting goosebumps throughout this whole thing anyway, but it's just actually playing it and watching the cutscenes unfold, and like you can see like the troops down on the battlefield
They're
basically
like,
just
"Yeah."
stop. They just stop. And they're just like, oh, guys, there's something big happening up there.
I know. It's like, look at that in the clouds. Oh, we're actually making a difference. No, we're not. No, it's all up to them, really. This is
They're a
so
good
cool.
distraction.
Oh, but they're also really good shrapnel.
Yeah,
because Shiva just took out like a load of them.
They tried their best.
I know. Oh, and this guy's just running away.
Right, Ifrit versus Bahamut, Mega
Bahamut.
Flare.
So the other guy might have not been Bahamut, because that is a different icon in comparison to the
that's
question
true.
mark,
That's
question
very
mark,
true.
question mark guy.
So maybe there is, unless that was Ramu.
Mm.
But it does look like there might be a hidden one.
Some unsettled stuff going on in the streets.
No, it's that guy again.
Yeah, he's very, very disgruntled.
He's very sure of himself.
Yeah, he's very confused.
So
Oh, Phoenix.
that's Joshua, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much confirmed from that. Titan, that guy, sure.
Yeah, makes sense.
Garuda, her, yeah, we confirmed what we thought at the beginning. Ramu is just an old man. That's just an old man.
Oh, dude.
Shiva, okay, so they're obviously not comfortable showing those ones yet.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Interesting that Ifrit's only got one eye was like illuminated, but the other one was not.
He's got to go through the emo phase, Daryls. He likes to have one bit of his chunk over his eye so that he has a nice swoop and looks more dramatic.
All right, and that was the end, right? So then it was just the release date, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty shocked by the release date, if I'm honest. I thought it was going to be coming sooner. Summer 2023 is is a long time away. It's a long time away, and there's so much that can happen between then and now. Obviously, we've got Forspoken coming out in October. I don't know if that's going to get pushed, but it does mean that 16 is now going to be coming in the next financial year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if this is how good it looks now, and they had said at the beginning of the year that they were basically just working on polishing.
Yeah.
That means they're going to have been doing 18 months of polishing, fine-tuning, refining. That's going to be like there's going to be like zero. If the game does not match expectations when it comes out next summer, there's going to be like zero excuses because they have had 18 months of polishing.
Yeah. No, I think it's really good. I think it's really a good option that
Zero
Yoshida...
day one patches.
Well,
day zero, sorry.
Let's be real. Because that's the thing, right? Like you can't, it's so hard with games now, how big they are that, you know, QA can't catch everything. When you're doing QA, you have like a team of, you know, like 24, maybe so many people, and then you release it into the masses to 1 million people, and 1 million people, they're never going to hire 1 million QAs,
yeah, they can't.
right? Like they just can't. So there might be bugs and there might be a day one patch. That is okay. Either way.
I'm really curious about the size though, because like if the game is going to be, if they're at that point, you know, the story was done before the end of 2021.
Yeah.
So they're not really going to be making any more modifications or refinements to the story. But like, you know, if they're going to be spending this long on refining things, like how is this game going to be like a good 40 or 60 hours solid? Like just talking main core story, irrespective of side quests and stuff. Like, and I wonder if Elden Ring, I mean, it probably hasn't, but considering it's now coming out in a year's time, I wonder if that has done something, like raised the bar essentially on what people are expecting now, because you know, there was criticism around the 7 remake and how much filler there was, and if you take all that out, then really it's like a 20 to 30 hour game. And I wonder if they do, I mean, they are trying to appeal to their MMO audience as well, who are used to like chunks of time being dedicated to these things.
Yeah.
And Elden Ring has clearly shown that people are happy to do that. So I'm very curious to see kind of what we're going to get in terms of like how good it's going to look now in comparison to like what we're going to see in a year's time. Like, because obviously we've seen the leap in improvement over the last 18 months to now. We're going to have another, like, well, there's going to be at least another year because this trailer was done a month or two ago. Mm-hmm. And this probably is not reflective of where the game's even at right now.
Possibly. But yeah, no, I also think it's really interesting that they omitted like any of the sort of earlier bits that they focused so heavily on in the first trailer. Like there was no young Clive or Joshua.
We got to see young Clive for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, so it's like
young Jill for 3 seconds.
It'll be interesting to see where the story sort of takes precedence. Like if it is that it's only a small portion of it. That's
I would imagine it's going to be.
The rest of it is old adult Clive. Also, I think it's really safe to say that it's been good that Yoshi P has waited, well, that the team has waited so long in order to reveal more information. Because I think that trailer was worth it. Like, I think that really speaks volumes to the fact that, you know, he might have not felt like they were ready yet in order to release the trailer. And when they re-released the trailer, they wanted to make a statement. And I think that they have made a statement with this.
Yes.
You know?
The only thing I would say, though, is that he did also say that when they next showed it, they wanted it to become available to players very quickly afterwards. A year is not quick. Like, that's a long time.
Yeah. I guess people at Square Enix are getting antsy. The investors are just like, where is this game?
I mean, obviously we're supposed to be talking about 16, but I wonder what this means then for the 7 remake. Whether or not they're going to release, I mean, if they release them both in the same financial year, insane.
Yeah, I mean, like thinking about Square Enix's organization as far as development, it could happen.
We could end up in a situation where you get Dragon Quest 11, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, and Final Fantasy 16 all releasing within like 12 months of each other. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the thing you think about, like when Final Fantasy 15 was delayed and World of Final Fantasy had a clash with it. It's like, it's just, you know.
Also, that means that it's going to potentially be coming out near the next 14 expansion, right? Because they're usually 2 years between, unless they're going to delay that until 2024.
Who knows?
So many questions.
Square Enix knows.
But I think we need to wrap it up there, Lauren. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed our reaction and really quick, raw analysis of what we've seen. as mentioned, in probably like, or hopefully tomorrow or the day after, we'll be presenting a much more formalized
Go on and say it,
granular
Granular there
breakdown
you go.
of
That's your
every
word.
single thing we've seen in that trailer.
If you look in the dictionary, next to it is Daryl's face.
And thank you. And yeah, we'll be trying to do as much as we can to highlight where they're pulling things from and kind of what we know essentially now. I haven't looked at the staff, but I know they've also released a staff list, and a lot of them were the people that we had previously mentioned in our What We Know So Far videos. That's pretty cool. I saw that Soken is the composer. A little bit surprised by that because I thought that he was going to be supervising and they're going to bring someone else in. But hey, no complaints, especially if we're going to get hardcore icon singing in our tracks.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking of Locust. Locust is one of my favorite songs ever. Or Lahi. I mean, could we have
so
another
many.
Lahi? I need more Lahi in my life.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
Bye.